traveling has come to my life through my mother. It has always been an integral part of her life. She's been traveling since the early 1970s, 80s as a solo traveler herself. So yes, that's sort of coming through her into me, and it's always been a part of me as a kid. Okay, just travel, and then like solo travel just happened in my late teens. That's how I just started. I love biking, that's probably my life. So yes, it was on my Honda Unicorn 150. Happened when I was in college around 2011-2012, where a friend of mine and I had planned to go to Haryaleshwar, which is there in the coastal, the coastal outskirts from Bombay outside. So yeah, we planned to go, and early morning when I wake up, I just get a text from the guy, I won't be coming. And then I was like, okay, let me can it, let me hang on to it, but let me do what? And then I was like, okay, he's not coming, let it be, So I'll go by myself, and that's how I just decided. Went on, stayed at a homestay where people, it was really good, the owner of the house, he took me around the village, took me around his own house, showed me Bomi culture pots, and I played with earthworms. And then I saw a cow shed, I saw donkeys, and all this beautiful village life that I saw. So yes, my mother's always been telling me about it, but that was my first hand experience of traveling solo. It was just a 2-day trip. It wasn't on a grand scale, but yeah, it was the first unplanned solo trip of mine, you can say. It was Easter last year. My mother was in Indore, which also happens to be the place where I was born. Yes. So I had to go to see her from Bombay, and then my mom kept on telling me get your tickets done, train tickets, bus tickets, flights. And just keep she just kept on, and I was like, no, I don't know. So just kept on being there until the last moment, and then finally I thought I'm not going to go by any mode of public transport. Let me try going by bike, because I have been on my bike until Goa also, which is a 600-kilometer ride down south. Now this was up north. So yes, and I was like, I've done it with a pillion. Let me try it solo this time. So I went, and that was probably one of the most memorable travel diaries of my life ever. It was traveling solo, and I started. It was still my Honda Unicorn. I had not upgraded to my Royal Enfield Bullet 350 by then. So it was on my Honda Unicorn, and I just kept riding, and once I crossed Thane, I realized I'm on the national highway, and there are no street lamps on national highway. So when there were no street lamps on national highway, with the tiny light of my Honda Unicorn, it was so difficult to navigate. I just took off my rubber band, tied on the passing light of my bike, so I had two bulbs flaring together, and then I just tried to be as ahead of the trucks and buses that I can, so I can borrow their light and go ahead. And somehow, by God's grace, I reached Nasik, 200 kilometers. That was the first stop that I took. So it was real great fun, and there I was at a dhaba, and as soon as I parked my bike and took off my helmet, and obviously you were in rural India. Nasik is not rural India, but I wanted in the rural part after Nasik ended. So this the first question the dhaba cook asked me was, "Aap Bombay se aaye ho kya?" So it's I don't know, any solo girl traveler on a bike, getting off at a dhaba has to be from Bombay. So yes, I was like, yeah, I've come from Bombay, I'm going to Indore. And I asked the guy to make bhindi and roti for me, I still remember. So it was great fun. So seeing a girl hopping out there, having a smoke or something. So that was, it was the appreciation and the love from the people all around over there. It was such a beautiful experience to have, which I don't think can be experienced any place else apart from the time when you're traveling. So that was stop number 1. I went ahead, and there were multiple stops that I took, of course, a lot of breaks, meeting a lot of people. I halted for fuel at a petrol station, and over there this boy came running up to me, and he was like, "Oh, so are you from Bombay or are you from Pune?" And this guy is telling me, okay, so I've studied in Bombay or Pune all my life, right now I'm over here, in rural India, and I've got no friends, and I don't know what to do, and all of this stuff. So yeah, I was like, okay, okay. Anyways, my ass was paining from riding, so I Anyways, I had to take a break. So I just spoke with him and he's like, okay, so would you like to have a smoke with me? I was like, yeah, okay, cool, fine, why not? Like, oh, my uncle is over there, let's go to the dhaba ahead and we'll go. So I was like, okay, fine, cool. And by then we hadn't even exchanged names. So I took my bike, he was in his car. I went on ahead, we went on to the dhaba. And yes, we ate something, I don't even remember what we ate, but yes, we bought a pack of smokes. And this guy looked at my bag, at the water bottle pouch, and he said, I noticed you don't have water on you. You don't have water on you. And I was like surprised, and this guy went, bought a bottle of water and put it on my bag. And these are the things that total absolute strangers, you've never met them before in your life, but the way people come forward, to look out for you, to care for you. And I don't even remember the guy's name, but all that matters is I still wish him well, because it's just a tiny kind thought of how good Indians can be. So it was great. And then I happened to cross the Maharashtra border. I entered Madhya Pradesh, and yes, I was traveling with less cash on me just for safety purposes. I went on to the nearest fuel station to again refuel my bike, and I asked the guy if he accepts a card, a debit card, a credit card, some sort of card. And at least 5 to 6 petrol pumps did not accept cards. And then this guy told me there's the State Bank ATM like 10 kilometers ahead. So I was like, okay, I've got an ATM. So I went ahead, and then the ATM was out of service. So somehow I was like, okay, I need to drag on until the next ATM, else I'm going to run out of fuel. So I go to this petrol pump, and I search in every nook and corner of my bag, for some change that I can find. And through currency notes of 10 rupees and 5 rupees and coins of 1 and 2 and 5 rupees, I managed to raise 41 rupees, which I found in all of my pockets and bags combined together. And I told the guy, fill fuel for 41 rupees until over here. And the guy was talking to me, oh, अब वापस आया, bike पे आया, पकड़े आया, और ऐसे कैसे आ गए, कहाँ जा रहे हो, क्यों जा रहे हो? And there were a lot of things happening, and this guy nicely talking to me. He fuels me up for 141 Indian rupees, and I'm like, dude, there is no way I can give you 100 rupees right now. So what do I do? And he's like, madam, आगे गाँव में ATM है, like, okay, there's an ATM ahead in the village. I was like, I'm not going to go ahead and come back. And he was like, this person of mine will come with you. I was like, okay, chalo. So I had this petrol pump attendant, I asked him to sit behind me. We went to the nearest village, I went to the ATM, I withdrew cash and I gave it to this fellow. And then I was like, okay, I'm already in the village, only approximately 100 kilometers away from Indore. So journey is almost to an end. And it was pretty sunny, so I was like, let me just halt over here, have some tea, have something to eat, and then I can make a move forward. So I go to this tea shop, and this gentleman walks in, who is the owner of the tea shop. He comes and he offers me a chair to sit, and quietly pointing out, not to sit on the fiber chairs, you're too heavy, you'll break it. Sit on the metal chairs, the folding metal chairs. I was like, okay, fine, cool, as it is. And this person started talking to me, and he started telling me, and he called his entire family, and then 3-4 of his farmer friends come in. And I think that was one of the most beautiful experiences. So one was an old man, one was a drunk man, and the other was a very skinny man. So these 3 people start discussing with me on how their life as a farmer is going, and how in every industry, the seller decides how much is they going to sell. But agriculture is probably one of the only industries, at least in India or whatever, that person told me, that where the market decides how much are we going to get. We didn't get good rainfall. So these farmer issues that I've only been reading about in newspapers or listening to their interviews in television or something on similar terms. It was actually the first time that I met a farmer where a farmer was actually discussing farming problems with me. He knows I can absolutely do nothing about it. Maybe I don't know, maybe I can, mostly I cannot, I don't know. But there was this one thing, that I realized, that life is so beautiful, life has its own challenges in its own way. But had it not been for this ride, probably it would have been very difficult for me to look above, to rise above the challenges that are there around me. like in a very close proximity. So when you have a farmer talking to you about his farming problems, I think it's a great experience. And one of them being drunk, drooling, and trying to smoke a bidi, which by the way is the Indian cigar. So yes, it was really amazing. And then I was there until sundown, and then I decided to ride back. And then finally I reached home. My aunt opened the gate, and actually she could not recognize me when I arrived. And then my mother came, and then obviously, like, mothers always recognize their children, come over to me. And then my aunt is telling me, your face was smeared black with muck, the entire day's muck. So actually she could not recognize me for a second. And it was, it was so beautiful. And then even after riding for 600 kilometers, more than 12 hours at a stretch, travel. So yes, it's always been there around with me. Travel has mostly not been about public transport for me, especially since I decided to travel solo. I always prefer to go on my bike wherever I can. Otherwise, earlier it has been a lot of travel by public transport as well. In school and college, the trips, that is a different fun altogether. So by train, by bus, by flight, so like that has its own beauty. But then the time I travel for being around the people that I am with, I choose public transport. And when I travel for my spirit, my soul, my karma, I don't know the way you put it, whatever beautiful words we have in the universe, I always prefer to do it on my bike and all by myself. And yes, when it comes to traveling, solo traveling is great. And I've told so many of my friends about this very same experience. And I think each and every individual should travel at least once solo in their life, be it a lady, be it a gentleman. Everyone should, because the kind of things that I have been enriched with, a better aspect towards knowing the hospitality of my own country, my countrymen, from various from various social backgrounds, someone who's traveling for a life, for a livelihood for himself and his family, that's a truck driver. Someone who's probably away from his family, raising cattle at a dhaba, to someone who's been in the cities somewhere, had to come back to the village to take care of his father's business, to I don't know, someone selling tea, someone being a farmer. So I have met so many kinds of people, and I always everyone praised me for I think I was 20 years old at that time, like 2021. So everyone praised me for just going out and listening to my heart. And it was only love that I received. It was just love for me. And since my mother has always been a great inspiration, and then when she saw me, and yes, the one thing that I did not mention was, no one in my family actually knew that I am going to take this trip. So it was like I just reached home in the evening, that's it. So my mother was absolutely delighted. She was like, oh my god, you came by bike, and that too solo. So it was absolutely amazing. I have been listening to her travel stories, which have actually inspired me a lot to create my own travel stories. So and I love listening to travel stories, and the best is making one, because you will not forget it ever in your life. It's always beautiful. It's just out there. And yes, I just want to say to everyone, if you call yourself a traveler just by visiting your grandparents or your uncles or your auntie's house once in a year, I would want you to do that. It's a good thing. But please try a different route that you've never tried before. Try it solo. Try it, just within a 100-kilometer radius for a start. There's no need to, to cross country borders. Maybe you can just start with 100 kilometers. Just carry your own backpack, and your backpack need not have things. Your backpack just needs to have that little drive for adventure and a dream that I can do it, and I can do it for myself. That's it.